And welcome to another episode of Behind the Gate with Scott and Kate. I'm your co-host, Scott Waddell, along with Caitlin Wesley tonight. Glad you could join us. And we'd like to thank our sponsors of tonight's podcast is MC Truck and Train. We appreciate their sponsorship. Of course, they do transportation of horses all over the Maritimes and in Ontario, and even through the U.S. So C. Blaine McKenna and the guys at MCK Truck and Train. And again, we thank them very much for their support of our podcast. So again, this is episode number 10, and I'm going to pass it on to my co-host to introduce our special guest tonight. And I'll pass it to you, Caitlin, and you can tell us who we have tonight.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. So we have an up-and-coming trainer from PEI that's joining us tonight. Made a huge leap the past year in his stats. So welcome aboard, Saul. And I'm so excited to get to, know you more. I've seen your stats and you've jumped major from the year prior and you had such an awesome go. I'm excited to see and hear what you've got coming up this year and what made you go into training and everything else. But before we do, let's jump into your stats just so everyone is kind of knows who you are and knows what you've done over the year. So in 2023 you had 66 starts, you had 16 wins, 12 seconds, 13 thirds, banking $73,000, almost 74. And you've just passed your 100,000 earning in lifetime. So that's a huge accomplishment in itself with only having a couple years of training under your belt. So congrats on that.
Yeah, thank you. No, it was a good year. Kind of, unexpected. You never know what you're going to get, but it was a pretty exciting year and it was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome, Sal. And I guess we'll get the questions started here. We won't be too rough. We won't be too rough on you tonight. So it's a pretty casual setting. So I'll get things underway. Maybe you could tell our listeners, Saul, what first got you involved in harness racing?
Yeah, so my dad and my grandfather, they've had horses for their whole life pretty well. I was in them when I was young fall, 8, 10, probably something like that. But then I didn't really do anything with the horses again for probably up until, maybe 4 years ago. I kind of got out of it there for a while. And then when COVID hit, it's kind of, nothing else to do. So started going to the barn again with, my dad and stuff like that, and just kind of loved it and just kind of went from there and kind of bought one horse and then bought a few more, and then it kind of snowballed from there. So
yeah. So who's your dad, Saul?
My dad's Peter, so Peter
Oh,
Lanigan.
Peter. Okay, yeah.
And then my grandfather's Billy Lanigan, so he had horses for as long as I can remember, and there's always been horses in the field or the barn here, as my dad had, one or two or whatever. So
yeah, no, the Lanigan name certainly has been kind of a staple in Prince Edward Island racing. I think your grandfather and your dad might have even made some trips over to New Brunswick the odd time back in the day. So definitely know the name, that's for sure.
Yeah, I hear some stories about trucking over to St. John and different places that not going anymore, Tartan Downs and just stuff like that. So
yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely a shame kind of what happened in New Brunswick here, but fortunately we still have one track operating in the province, so they're scheduled to go again this year. So looking forward to that. So I think Caitlin wanted to ask you about your last year. She had mentioned your stats and what a great year you had. Go ahead, Caitlin.
Yeah, like I said, you had an awesome year. When you started training down, getting everybody ready, did you think that 2023 would be as good as it was, or did you kind of have some doubts at times? How did your go?
Yeah, just they all kind of trained down pretty good, but I guess you never really know until they get to the races. It's kind of my first year with young 2-year-olds or stake horse, I guess, or whatever, so I wasn't sure how they were really supposed to be trainer, or how good they're supposed to be, or what they're almost supposed to feel like. So it's a bit different, but I thought they were going to be good. I didn't probably think I was going to have the year ahead, but I thought I had, if everything went well, I thought I had a decent chance to have an okay year. So, but that went better than expected, so that's always good.
Yeah, and I'm sure you have your dad watching over you a little bit too there, and kind of giving you some pointers here and there.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, he's comes to the barn every day and he helps, he jogs and trains. And then my brother's actually gotten into it just this summer. Actually, he got started
Okay.
to come around to the barn. He bought piece of Dunson Harry and Reassurance, so he's in on them. And then
Yeah.
yes, he loves it now too. So it's kind of a whole family affair. So yeah.
No, that's good when you can get family involved for sure. So, as an up and coming young trainer in the industry, what do you personally think the harness racing industry could do to encourage more young people to get involved in the sports hall?
Yeah, I read this, but I wasn't sure how to answer it. Like
Yeah,
definitely, we need more young people, my age, younger, a little older, whatever, somewhere in the middle, but just it's not an easy sport to get into, just to be 100% honest, like, you
yeah,
need some money or you need a place to put the horses. Like there's no stalls on, PEI really for someone, wanting to get a new horse or something like that.
yeah,
Um, I think just try and get people that never had anything to do with it is a big thing. Like, people grew up in it, they're going to be in it, right? Their family was in it and stuff like that. But try and
yeah,
get people that, they have nothing to do with horse race and get them into it. And that's how we're going to, have to grow it, right? You get new people that never had anything to do it. And I think kind of the fractional ownership groups that, some of the guys are putting together and a lot of the, big trainers in town and stuff and up in Ontario, they have all their fractional ownership groups. And I think that's great because it gets people that, they weren't born into it, they don't have a farm, their dad didn't have horses, their grandfather didn't have horses, gives them a chance to try it out, with 10% or 5% or 1%, whatever they want, right? So I
yeah.
think that's definitely a way to go, but we need to just try and attract more young people because they're going to be the future.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that's both at an ownership level and driving and training too. We've had a chance to talk to some people who went through the matinee PEI driving program over there, Saul, and it's been such a great thing for the industry and PEI. And it would be nice if maybe even Nova Scotia may look at going to a model like that and creating some interest, especially with the mini horses kind of creating a buzz the last couple of years.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think that's a great idea. Like, even when they had the Gamester Pinckney Cup there for the young drivers, like give them a
Yeah,
chance to drive at different tracks or different horses and stuff like that. Cause I know some of the guys drove for some people in that, and then they drove, the horse again the next week because they did a good job or something like that. So kind of
yeah.
gives them a chance to showcase if, they might only drive their own horse or, one other one or something like that. So
Yeah. So, have you had any interest at any point of driving, Saul? Or are you strictly barn guy and a track guy?
no, I don't have too much interest in the drive, and I love training them down and training, but
Yeah,
just you got to be, kind of full to it if you want to be a driver. You know what I mean? Like you gotta, especially if you want to be competitive, you have to drive, every week and multiple horses, right? Like you drive once a month or once every couple weeks or something. It's hard to, you know, get in and know what's going on and get that feeling every week, right? So I just
yeah.
yeah, leave it to the guys that know what they're doing.
Yeah, I think it comes back to how competitive you are, and
Yeah.
like we talked to guys like Mark Campbell, and when you talk to him, you can just feel the competitiveness in his voice, and he just loves to go out there each and every race day and compete. So I think you kind of have to have that gene as well. So I think Caitlin wanted to ask you maybe who you look up to in racing growing up.
Yeah. Who has been like your role model or your mentor for the time, growing up or even in your time of being a trainer?
Yeah, so I never worked for like worked for anyone or went away or anything. So I just learned everything from my dad and my grandfather and my uncle as well, Paul. So just them three kind of just from the family, just picked up things that they did, and just a lot of the, you learn things a lot too from like the drivers when they come off, and they always, they're really good to give you tips and say like, oh, you should try this next week or something like that as well. But yeah,
Yeah.
just kind of picked up things that my dad and my family has done. So, and that's kind of, yeah, I learned mostly everything from there.
No, right on. So to date, you've trained a few horses and got a good little stable going there. Who has been your favorite horse to train so far in your stable, and any particular reason why? Good mannered or?
Yeah, it'd be Smart Official. We've had him for,
Okay.
I don't know, probably 6, 7 years or something. He's just super easy. You go out and train him, you just throw a pair of polos on him. He doesn't need any boots, no head check, no poles. You want to go slow, you go slow. You want to go fast, he'll go fast. He's
Yeah.
just easy to do. He's friendly. He's not kicking or biting you or anything like that. He's just super friendly to work around and easy. Never missed a meal in his life, I don't think. So he's just an easy keeper
Yeah.
like that. So no, he's probably my favorite horse.
Yeah, no, he's been a good old racehorse. Get to watch him each and every week there on the live stream from Red Shores, and he's always been one of those horses that come to play every night. So definitely got a nice one there. So anyway, I think Caitlin wanted to ask you about some of your goals.
Yeah, so last year you had such a good year. You kind of have any set goals for this coming season, or do you just kind of go with the flow of everything?
Yeah, I just kind of got to go with the flow. I'd like to have, a similar year to last year, but it's probably not gonna, happen, but you never know. But just, yeah, kind of hopefully they all stay, sound and stuff like that, and get to travel to some tracks. Like I'd like to, go to North Side and Inverness. I never got over there last year and get there. But as far as like goals for racing, just kind of whatever happens, to my best, and hopefully they race good.
No, good.
Awesome.
Good stuff. And as a young person, Saul, you definitely, you do this on a part-time basis. So tell us what you do outside of horse racing, and do you have a set schedule? Do you do the barn work and the track work before work, or do you do it after work?
Yeah, so usually I work 9 to 5, so usually, leave here at my house like 8:30 or so to go to work, and then just feed them and stuff in the morning, and then in the evenings get right home from work 5:30, jog them all till probably 7:30. Come in, grab a quick bite for supper, and then go back out. Usually from like 8:30 to 10:30, and put them all away and clean up and do all that stuff and get them ready for the next day. But yeah, usually we've just done that. I mean, sometimes you have to jog them in the morning if you got race days, that night or something. But yeah, usually we just do them right after work and then come in for a snack and then go back out and start putting them away.
No, awesome.
Yeah, you had a great successful year kind of with Salzburg Abbey, a Salzburg horse from Nova Scotia. So that's pretty cool to see last year. And a daughter from the high producer Malicious. As she had 7 wins and banked over 40,000. I see she didn't race at 2. When did you really start did she really start showing you that she was, capable of going and, able to be, that campaign horse that you kind of look for?
Yeah, she didn't really train down much as two. She had a cracked ankle, and then we had to do surgery on that, and then take a chip out of her ankle as well at 2. So I think she only got to like 20, 220 or something. So you weren't really sure. She trained down probably for like the first 2 months, terrible at 3. She was
Yeah.
making breaks and all over the place. We're like, oh God, I don't know if she'll ever race. So we're like, oh, she'll probably never race. The first baby I ever bought. So I was kind of disappointed. And then changed a few things and did a few things. And then she started training down really good. And then she qualified good, and then she just kind of kept getting better. And so, yeah, it was really exciting. So, maybe halfway through training down, so I was kind of like, oh, she should be okay. She seems to have a lot of speed. So hopefully she can translate it into the racing.
Yeah, she had a tremendous year last year. Like Caitlin said, over $40,000 in the bank, and looking forward to. She must be training back now. What are your hopes for her this season?
Yeah, I trained her Sunday there for the first time this
Yeah.
year. So she was good. She needed the rest, so she really enjoyed that. And then
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully this summer she can, you know, hopefully I don't know if she'll be an open mare, but you never know. Hopefully she, last year was her first year racing, so she was still almost learning, while the other ones knew what they were doing that raced it too, you know what I mean? So she still was learning even in her last couple races last year. So hopefully this year she'll step up again and maybe go with the open mares. Maybe not. If not, then just a nice overnight mare. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, what about Reassurance? He's son of Stonebridge Terror, who stands at Elm Grove Farms over in Prince Edward Island, future sponsor of the podcast here. How has he trained back so far this year?
Yeah, he's been training actually really good. He grew up a
Good.
lot from last year. He was real big colt last year and just need to, some time to mature and grow. And he was, a little just growing and stuff like that. So he's been training for, a month now or a couple weeks or something. So he's been training back really good. Actually, I'm really happy with him.
Okay, good. All right, Kate, go ahead. You have the next question.
Do you have any 2-year-olds? I do see that you own one from the sale. And how is it going with this one?
Yeah, we bought Elm Grove Taz at the sale this year. He's going good. He's not very big, like a lot of the Beth the Moons, I think, but he's a real blocky. He's big neck and just fat. But yeah, he's training really good. So it's early, but he's doing everything good so far. So hopefully he can keep going.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So what about your first training win? It was back in 2021, I believe, with Damn Lucky. What was it like to get your first training win and get that monkey off your back?
Yeah, it was nice, really exciting. I think it was actually like my second lifetime start as a trainer. So it was nice to kind of get that out of the way and not, have it drag out too long and then too much pressure or something. So it was really
Yeah.
exciting. I owned them myself, so that was nice too. So
Yeah.
Awesome. And we touched base on Smart Official.
Yeah.
He's been solid overnight campaign horse through the Maritimes. And you said he's training back. So how's he going? Is he, he's always that consistent, 55, 56. He's always a good horse to have in your ticket too, because he's just so excited.
Yeah, he actually hasn't started even jogging or training. My girlfriend Kelsey actually might start riding him, so we'll see. I don't know if he's gonna race this year or not, but he's just kind of been a good horse, so just gonna whatever he wants to do, he can. If he wants to race, he can race. If he wants to be ridden or just walk around in the field, he can do that too. So we'll see. He might race, later on in the year or something like that. But yeah, my girlfriend might try riding him for a little bit.
There you go. So
Let himself out and let him come back stronger than everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, bring him back anyway. He's a tough old bird, that guy. So as a trainer, Saul, wanted to ask you this question. We've had a lot of drivers on the podcast so far, so really haven't talked to a lot of trainers so far, but what kind of goes in deciding on who you use when you're selecting your drivers, your overnight drivers?
Yeah, just trying to just I usually use, Jason or, kind of Corey or, Adam or David. They're kind of, the ones that drive for me consistently or whatever. But honestly, there's like probably 9 really good drivers in Charlottetown. So like any of them, just use the best available. Usually if my first couple picks are not there, just the best available. And they've all done pretty good for me this summer. So just kind of, yeah, whoever. And there's certain ones that get along better with, certain horses. So you put them down first on them. But yeah, like I said, there's probably, 8, 9, 10 guys in town that, you'd be fine to have, drive your horse any night and, they do just as good as anyone. So
Yeah, and we've talked about that on the podcast, with the drivers, and we've asked them who they like to drive against and who they're the most competitive against and things like that. And, Red Shores, in my opinion, Saul has one of the best driving colonies in Canada on the half-mile track. Like you say, there's eight to 10 guys that could basically go anywhere. And we've seen it with Mark Campbell recently when he went down to Saratoga. I don't know if you caught some of his races down there, but he fit in anywhere he would like to go.
yeah, for sure. Like there's probably, eight guys that drove for me this summer and, different races or whatever. And they all did, a good job and, they could, throw any one of them on and they, the horse would be fine. So it's kind of nice to have that. There's not just like, oh, I need to get one of these 3 guys, right? It's, you have your top picks, but there's always going to be someone who's capable of, doing a good job within your race. So it's nice.
Awesome. And as a wrap up, I think Caitlin kind of wants to find out what you do outside of racing, hobbies or interests or anything like that.
Yeah, like I like doing the podcast because, like I tell everybody before, we see you all as a trainer or a driver or someone strictly in the industry. We don't really get to, know you as well as we would like to. So just to get like the outside info about, trainers and drivers, just, we like to see the human side, I guess, more or less
Yeah.
to say.
Yeah.
What do you like to do besides the horses outside of everything else?
Yeah. I got 7 now and work full time. So time's short outside of racing, but I like to golf in the summers and stuff. And then whenever we have time and stuff, we had a Sunday morning preferred tea time with me and a couple of my buddies this summer. So I try to get to that when there wasn't racing or stakes or something. And then just like to travel too. I like to go see kind of new spots, Canada, US, or, Europe or whatever. Just not really much of a going to the beach type of guy. So I'd rather go explore some new spots or something. But other than that, not too much, just hang out with some friends and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I kind of creeped through your Facebook to find out a little bit more about you before the show, and I seen quite a few hockey pics. Are you a hockey fan? You look like you may have played some hockey in your life.
yeah, I played hockey all the way up until the end of high school and then haven't played since. But yeah, I really liked hockey during like high school and like all my life I played hockey. So I like hockey, yeah.
Yeah, do you follow the junior team over there, or who's your favorite NHL team?
NHL, New Jersey Devils. I've been
Oh,
like that
okay.
since I was a young fella. But other than that, no, I don't really follow too much hockey anymore other than like the NHL.
Yeah.
Yeah, but more into the golf now, I guess, and then just the horse racing. So
Oh, good stuff. Well, no, that's great, Saul. It's been great to meet you and have a few conversations with you, find out a little bit more about you. And we wish you all the best for this upcoming season. And wish you all the best.
yeah, no, thanks a lot for having me on. And yeah.
Yeah, no, thanks very much. So, again, this was episode 10 of Behind the Gate with Scott and Kate, sponsored by MCK Truck and Train, Blaine McKenna and the folks there. So, thank you very much for their sponsorship. As we mentioned off the top, our next episode will be Todd Treitz, and he's the New Brunswick rep for the upcoming Regional Atlantic to decide if who goes to the National Driving Championship later on in the season. So again, Elm Grove Farm will be picking up the sponsorship on the next episode 11, with Todd Treitz. So again, Saul Lanigan, thank you very much for joining us. On behalf of myself, Scott Waddell, and my co-host, Caitlin Wesley, this has been Behind the Gate with Scott and Kate.